D.Y. Patil International University, Akurdi, Pune, carrying legacy of 36 years of education excellence, following the footsteps D.Y. Patil International University, Akurdi, Pune, carrying legacy of 36 years of education excellence, following the footsteps of Padma Shri Dr. D.Y. Patil, under the graceful guidance of Founder Vice Chancellor Professor Prabhat Ranjan, a nuclear fusion scientist, a futurist. Carve the path to your future career with D.Y. Patil International University, Akurdi, Pune.
Like to welcome you all.
A new era postgraduate and undergraduate courses, trend-setting, multi-track specializations.
To a dynamic
Forward
personality, our VC sir, Professor Dr. Prabhat Ranjan sir. Dr. Prabhat Ranjan sir has been currently tirelessly working as a Vice Chancellor of our university. He has done his education from IIT Kharagpur and Delhi University. He received his PhD degree from University of California, Berkeley, where he carried out research on nuclear fusion at Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory during 1983 and 1986. He immediately returned to India after this and carried out research in nuclear fusion area at Saha Institute of Nuclear Physics, Calcutta, and Institute of Plasma Research, IPR, Gandhinagar. He played a major role in India's nuclear fusion program and was project leader of largest operational Indian fusion reactor, Aditya, at Institute of Plasma Research from 1996 to 2002. And he has also been part of Chandrayaan-2 missions. I would like to request VC sir to lead us by encouraging words.
So first of all, I would like to extend my heartiest welcome to all the audience. And this program is part of our induction program for new students, cutting across various courses that we offer at the university, which is we have engineering program in computer science engineering, bioengineering. Both of them are cutting edge trendsetters, which actually has changed India's engineering curriculum for the last 2 years that we started. Similarly, we have design program, we have management programs, we have journalism and mass communication program, we have Bachelor of Computer Application, we have MBA Digital Business, we have MBA Agri-Business, and also we have Diploma in Pharmacy. So we have a number of programs that are being offered. In the last 2 years that we have been around, we have grown fast. We're also thankful to public in general for supporting us by taking admission and participating in various activities. Today is a very special day. Our effort has been in the university to actually bring students to set up companies right at the very early stage. So we are trying to expose them to the best practices of the world. So we have 2 experts who have set up a startup successfully, and we'd like to learn from them, their experiences, ups and downs that they have gone through, and what message they have for the young people. So my focus is that we create more of job creators rather than the job seekers. So I would like to welcome Mr. Sanchit Garg and Dr. Aakash Singh. And I will not say much. We'll go along as it happens. And if we have some points to make, we'll mention that. So welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are our choices. Build yourself a great story. This is said by Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder. And our today's topic is startup journey. Startup journey is something that a young company which is founded by one or more entrepreneurs to develop a unique product or service and bring it to the market. And there are many successful Indian startups, and most of them are founded by IITians, and some of them are really very successful. We have one IITian with us, that is Mr. Sanchit Garg. Mr. Sanchit completed his graduation from IIT Bombay. His focus has been on creating products to solve business problems. This won him the prestigious Google Product Prodigy Championship even before he finished his college. He is co-founder and advisor at Travel Triangle. He makes products to enable travel agents to tap the incredible opportunities that e-commerce offers. As a result, Travel Triangle has become a crore business growth tool for 450 plus travel agents across 8 countries. Mr. Sanchit Garg founded Travel Triangle for holiday experience that achieved market leadership with $100 million plus dollars ARR and with a team with more than 700 people. He is also the founder of InnerFit Emotional Intelligence and is also the co-founder at CTO. He has also worked at Yahoo as tech lead. I would request Mr. Sanchit Garg to speak few words.
Hi, thanks, Madhula, and welcome everyone. Uh, all the students in these onboarding sessions, and I think Madhula has already explained my profile, but quickly, I am natively from Jaipur. Then went to college at IIT Bombay in 2003. Had no idea what I will get into, but I made sure I coded well. I kept on coding and debugging, and that made my basics right. After that, I moved to Yahoo for some time, built Travel Triangle as my first startup, which we scaled to $100 million value, and a lot of you would have heard about it. Then I got excited about emotional intelligence with my journey with meditation and psychology, and that's what I'm building right now in Bay Area. And I'm happy to share my experiences with all of you to help you navigate all of these early days at a new college and one of the best colleges with good cutting edge curriculums and so on, and help you see how you can get the most out of it. Thanks,
Thank you
Madhu.
so much, sir. So we have one more esteemed guest with us who is very talented and genius, Dr. Aakash Singh. Dr. Aakash Singh is Chief Executive Officer at Kryptoblocks. Previously, he served as Chief Technology Officer at Scry Incorporation. In the past, Dr. Singh developed petabyte scale parallel processing systems, analytics platforms, and sophisticated clusters monitoring tools. He holds a PhD in artificial intelligence and is best known for campaigning the machine learning and probabilistic approach to artificial intelligence and big data problems. He brought together machine learning and computational complexity, leading to advances in artificial intelligence. His profound vision in applied mathematics, computer science, and cognitive theory has been combined with other methods to build machine learning and knowledge representation, like IBM's Watson computing system. He was the architect for IBM project for over 10 years and has been recognized by numerous industries awards and is sought after keynote speaker. I would like to request him to say few words.
Yeah, thank you, Madhula, and thank you, Professor Prabhat, and the students. Thanks for giving me privilege to talk. It's very exciting to talk, to young people. I mean, I think 20 years ago I was young, but this is a great time that we are in today. When I started my journey, learning computer science. I still remember, I wanted to learn computer, and my mom took me to an institute to learn computer, but I was too young, and they did not admit me to learn computer that time. But I think now the time has changed, right? I think now we have smartphones in everybody's pocket, and learning is super easy now. And I think with the India mission also, like the one which is going on raised 2020, I think India is highly focused on making a digital India and marching toward AI superpower. I think that's pretty much because India can become, because we have data. And when I was working with IBM, we were also writing algorithms, designing new systems. But I think the challenges were the data was not sufficient, and that's one of the reasons AI didn't kick in. Right, AI was not successful. But now I think the time is right. Technology is there, and young people like you who are there as well, who can inspire. So as Professor Prabhat rightly said, right, instead of job seekers, we can become a job creators, right? When if you look into startup India, there's a lot of startups have started. So with my career, I joined IBM and I worked there at IBM Watson and other companies also after that. Then I was interested in startups. So I joined a startup in Palo Alto and we raised some funds. So the challenges were, raising funds was very difficult, I think. But if you have a right idea, a right team, a right concept, and I think it will be successful. So they always says that ideas are cheap, but your team is the greatest strength because you can deliver things what the world needs, right? And of course fitting into the right time. So I would say that timing is right. So when I started company here in US, then I thought that I want to go back and give to India also. So then I started companies in India where we were developing blockchain solutions, AI, and today we work on numerous things. We have come up with the COVID detect, uh, testing kits also for our biotechnologies and CRISPR. So the point here that I'm making, right, you can start with one thing, and that will lead to many different things what you want to achieve, right? And I think the infrastructure and ecosystems as well as venture capitalists is all available now, right, at your reach. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Without wasting time, I would like to hand over the panel to Vijaya Lakshmi ma'am from our college.
Is she not able to join? Okay, some technology problem. Okay, we can continue in the meantime while she joins. So because always we are connected to internet and there are always glitches in that. One of the startups to solve this problem. So anyway, we'll continue with this. So one of the things that I would like to ask, and before Dr. Vijay Lakshmi joins, is that when you start a company and it's say, let's say technology-based idea, you start with the technology aspects of it. As the company grows, typically it happens that you have to give up your love for the technology and you have to become a management person. So I would like to hear from both of you certain comments in this regard, whether how to balance between your love for technology versus trying to manage things. Any one of you, Aakash, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say that's a very hard question. Yes. So, I mean, when you start a company and being an innovator, right? So, of course, an idea comes from you, the person, who started. And then as and when you get team, start recruiting people to make them work, and it's very high. It's very difficult for making people. You get smart people, but it's very difficult to let them work together. They can work very well individually, but when you bring them in a team, it's very hard for them to work. So I think that's where you as a founder will take some responsibilities. But I think what I did is I started, got the team, but I was very lucky enough to get the right team as well as management people which I got. And I found that if I want to innovate, I should not do management work 100%. So I reduce it to almost like 10%. So I got somebody who can manage the team. So we set up a company in Bangalore, and then I recruited person who can really do all the operation work. So I excluded myself, where I was totally focused on developing product innovations and idea creations. Yeah, yeah. I think for a startup is good for founder or CEO to keep away from management activities or operations as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Sanchit, you have any comments on this? How has been your experience?
Right. So it's indeed a powerful question. I believe that, as technology enthusiasts, sometimes we go in technology much more and forget that technology is a means to solve the problem. And all of us are technologists. We are all engineering students. We love technology and we want to create technology. But think of examples like Google Pulse, Google Buzz, many more, where you build a very sophisticated technology, but it doesn't solve a problem. So what I would encourage, students and everyone is to see what problem you are solving, and then get attached to that, and then see technology as a means to it. And then when you grow, in when your company grows, you grow in solving that problem. You can choose to be more innovative to solve that problem, whether on technology side or on the management side. uh, from my experience, I have been able to maintain that, what I'm doing, I'm able to love what I'm doing, because I can choose which function I'm working more, whether it is technology or operations or business. Obviously the management goes up, but you can still keep on getting attached to the problem because it always needs more innovation, which needs more technology. So it's also a part of your focus.
Right. So I think we can have Vijay Lakshmi join Mridula. You can call her in.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Vijaya Lakshmi ma'am is live with us, and I will hand over the panel to her for asking questions.
Thank you, Mrudula. As our VC said that we have to be more job creators. So for the startup is one stage where we can achieve this. So I would like to have a discussion with both the speakers regarding your journey of the startup, how you have uh, gone all the way from start to till date. So I request you to share your journey.
You can
Akash, you
suggest
want
who
to
to start first.
Okay, so my journey, because I entered late in the startup world, because I spent time in, but I think if time given a new time, right, I would say after school, I would get into startup right away. Um, because when I started, the timing was different, right? Because now the ecosystem is already there, infrastructure. So I think students can start right away to create the jobs, which is a good thing. Now with my journey, the first things what I started is envisioning the ideas, right? And I looked into what what are the business problems, what are the different challenges where I can build a product. So that was my whole idea. So we started, coming with, very specific requirement for like blockchain at that time. A few years ago, blockchain started and there was no technology available there. So we built a blockchain technology to find, money launderings or use Bitcoin to do, suspicious activities. So that was the program that we ran for the financial institutions, and it has AI to detect suspicious or anomalies in the financial transaction. And that was a problem. And even for the students, they need to find out what is the current problem that they can address, where they can innovate, and they have a business space also, right? So then we created white papers. We started meeting VCs, venture capitalists, angel investors, and then we got funded. So we were funded $2.5 million in Palo Alto, California. And then this organization gave us the space also. So we were like, we started with like 2 people, then we grew to like 6 people. So this startup was just 6 people. Um, we had few people from Brazil, because blockchain was very new and we didn't have the niche. And after that, we ran it for 2 years. We made the product. We had few agencies, government agencies we were working, because they wanted to do all the financial transactions, money laundering, and then we sold the companies. So it was a very profitable business for us to make a company in 2 years and then sell it. So that was the first startup, and after that, then I thought, this time I want to really make very large organizations. So then, we started with blockchain because it was hot. Then we said, okay, we should add the AI. So today we work on many different lines of products. So we started with retail segments. Now we are in healthcare. Um, we make some of the biotechnologies also. So I would say startup is very hard, but it's a dedication which is required, that you need to believe in yourself and the ideas. I think then people will come. So in my case, people work with me, I think for like 6 months with no money, and they all were very excited to work. And I think after 5 years today, we are still in the business surviving. We are almost like 100 people now working and developing products, and we are excited. Our products are implemented also at customer locations. So I would say startup is hard, but I think if you put your mind in it, then I think everything falls in its place. Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's really a hard work, but dedication is very important. Thank you, sir, for explaining your journey. Sanchit, sir, can you please share your journey with us?
Right. So my journey in context for all the students who are in their first day of college. So no idea what, when I was in my first day of college, no idea what I would do. I took computer science as my branch, and then did well, kept coding, kept debugging, and made sure I do that well. I also enjoyed the college as much as I can. It was a fantastic campus. But then after that, I got placed in Yahoo, where I was there for 2 years, and then I realized that I want to do more. That's when I understood that uh, you know doing on own startup is the fastest way to grow in your own career, in your own life, to be yourself, to challenge yourself better. And that's where I started Travel Triangle, from something where I saw my own personal problem. For me, it was never about building a big team, creating jobs. I mean, they were all end outputs, but my main focus was some problem that I'm excited about to solve, and I see that as a problem. And
Thank
we, sorry, you were saying something?
Nothing, sir. Please continue.
And then you start with writing some code, getting your first customer, and get very bad reviews, so you again write something else, and you iterate, fail, iterate, fail, iterate. At a point, then you start seeing, okay, these customers love the product, and then you grow on it. You hire your first few team members who become very critical for you in your long journey, and you start building it brick by brick. For first 2 3 years, it's a big grind, but then once you get the right product, and the right team, we started changing. We got our first new office, which was a 13 people office. Before that, we were working from home, and there, we got to a 20 lakh INR kind of a revenue, which was the first revenue. And then investors could see a valid business model where customers are paying and they would fund money. We would then expand to a bigger office, and then every year we kept on increasing our office from 13 seater to like 50 seater to 120 seater, and then 700, and then 2000 seater. So every year we change offices and we get more funding, but it's important to build the right first brick that you add in the company should be all solid. So the product that you love, the problem that you solve, and then as the problem scales up, as you scale up, the jobs will get created. They're always the end product for me.
Thank you, sir, for narrating your journey. Aakash, sir, I have a question that can you please explain us what motivated you to switch from industry to the startup?
Right. I think, yeah, because I spend a lot of time, I was seeing that, that AI can really do great things, but, with IBM, we were still focused on very much into enterprise businesses. And I was thinking that, we still need to go and do much more. And so I proposed in IBM, we ran some projects also there, but I think it was still not that big what, I was looking for. And that's one of the reasons, I came out, and then I went in a startup. So for me, coming from a large organization to a startup is very, very difficult. So then I went, I worked with a startup to really learn how the startup works. Now, how do you work with 2 people or 5 people? So that was a very new for me. So once I learned it, then I thought, okay, I can get into startup also. And then we have, great ideas and great teams. So I think that's how it materialized. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. This will enlighten our students. Whatever the experience you are sharing with us, these are very meaningful and very valuable for students. Thank you, sir. Sanchit, sir, I have a question that can you please share us what all the difficulties you have faced during this journey?
Okay, so that's a Pandora box, by the way. So, so I mean, so I was in Yahoo. It was a well-cushioned job, uh, but I felt something was not right, and I was confident to take that risk. So I took the risk, started the company, and I have no idea where to start. So as a technology enthusiast, you start by writing code, and you do that, but then you realize that's not what customers want. That's not the problem. That's not the market. And then now you are with no job, no money, and what you're building has been invalidated by customers. So so you need to have first high hunger to do something, and then also confidence that you will get there, and then ability to take risk, so you can iterate on your product and problem multiple times before you get to anything. It's a loop like this. One day you feel that you are like the king when one customer or two customers write a great testimonials, and the next day you feel like you are nowhere when five customers reject the product and give a 1-star rating on your app. So, so you go through the journey, and that's where you have to hold yourself high. And then came the ridiculous cycle of going to 50 investors, getting rejected. You put your best in preparing a presentation, get rejected. You do that again, and you have no idea on what ticks them off. I mean, that's the first thing that first time you build the company, it will come. But you get the right mentors, right advisors. You keep building. So I think the only learning and the only challenge is how can you have your hunger high and not worry about failures, not worry about what you see on LinkedIn profiles of other friends and other colleagues of having them uh, all the flashy pictures, but believing in yourself and keep on doing things. Rest is all problem solving.
Thank you, sir. Akash, sir, I have a question that what all the basic plannings we need to do in order to start any startup?
Right. No, I think plan is very important to do anything, right? That's very thing. And of course, in startup you have a very aggressive plan that we look forward for. I think the first plan is about what Sanchit said about the raising funds. I think investment. So which always takes from 3 months to 9 months. That's what we think that's the right time that you can raise the funds. So for an investors, they look for a market fit, that now whether they will be able to make the money from you. So if somebody puts $1 million, they want to make $10 million out of you. So that's what the ratio is. So we need to keep the plan in such a way that whatever we are working, or product or services you're developing, it should give tenfold to the investors who's going to put the money, right? That's one thing. So that was one of the area that we are looking, that our plan should follow this goal. And second, the timeline, right? So we put a timeline of 9 to 12 months that we want to raise funds. But also, investors wants to see something working. So even though we wrote paper, the first company funded, we got funded with just writing a paper, but that we were just lucky enough to do that. But it doesn't work anymore. So I think investors look for the product, right? So then for the next companies, we went, we hired some people and we got some of our friends, because when you start you don't have money, right? So you get whomsoever you can get. That's how we started. So that was our plan, that we need to get anybody who can code with us and make a prototype. I think that was our objective, and we put a timeline of like 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks we want to deliver certain features of a product, and we ran it for 6 to 9 months. A period, and then we get a prototype done. I think that was our initial plan, because plan was to get something physical, because investors, they see, or they make decision through their eyes. They really don't have the brain. So they want to see and feel, that what you have built. So I think that need to be taken care, right? And your pitch, and we planned, what Sanchit mentioned, right? You fail many times, right? So failure is part of success. So we also, pitch to a lot of investors, and they, answered their questions, but it just, keep us going. So that's also a part of the plan, that that you continue to go on, right, without stopping.
Thank you, sir. Sanchit sir, will you add a few points about your
Preparation,
views?
preparation for startups.
Okay.
So if I understand the question as, what do you need to prepare before you start a
What are
startup?
your plannings? Yeah,
Planning,
before you do any startup, what should be our plannings?
right? I think that's a good question. So I would say, pick a problem that you really love and you can keep on working on it despite the ups and downs, and think big on that problem, as big as you can think. That will only limit you. Otherwise, you will be able to do that. So be able to find a problem, and then uh, have a cushion for yourself, that you can give yourself enough time to see how your solutions work for that problem. As in, you don't have financial constraints of EMIs and all those things. You can give your time and energy for that problem, commit to that problem. And so the other two main things. And the third thing is, you find a customer with whom, or a set of customers with whom you can test your solutions. Once that clicks, everything falls into place. If that doesn't click, you might go in many places, but it's all a short term gain. You will learn about local maxima, not the global maxima, soon. So as your one is big problem, think big. Second, give yourself enough cushion, risk free, that you can work on the problem in full commitment. And third is, find customers with whom you can test out your solutions and see if it clicks or not.
Thank you, sir. Ranjan sir, would you like to add a few points?
Yeah, so one of the issues is that many times the students like to work on technology without finding a real problem. So my question to both of you would be that how do you mix your, like I used to have many students who would say that I would want to do a Java-based project. So the Java was coming first and the project was second. I think in real life it should happen other way, where actually you identify a problem and then find the right solution. It does not matter what you love in terms of technology. And personally, I've seen that in my life. I'm not an entrepreneur in that sense, but even in research, when I've always worked on real problems, and real problems always have solutions coming from multiple fields. You can't just decide that this is the technology and I will make sure that my problem fits this technology. So that is the question I have: is that no, whether the problem comes first or the technology comes first? Any one of you, Aakash, maybe you can start.
No, that's very right. I think the business problem is the most critical, right? I think technology is there. We can build technologies, but if the business problem is is rightly fit with the time, I think that's the success, I would say.
So suppose you were interested in AI and blockchain, and so that was the technology aspect. How did you go around finding a problem where these tools will be very, very important?
Right. So in our case, when the Bitcoin started, so we thought we were looking into Bitcoin, that everybody is using Bitcoin, and there were a few cases that Bitcoin was used for for different purposes, and there was no way that you can track. And we thought that this is a great area, that the technology, there is a business problem, that how do you handle financial transactions which is on cryptocurrencies. And at that time it was really impossible, and today is also is the same way, right? Because it is designed where you cannot audit it, right? uh, so we thought that yes, the government agencies definitely wants to track the financial transactions which are being used for like drug abuse or other areas. And so in our case, we had right problem, that we wanted to do money laundering problem set. and we wanted to do for cryptocurrencies. So that's a technology barrier which was there. And third, we thought that since we know AI, machine learning, we can apply it to really gauge, we won't be able to pinpoint, who is the person doing it, but we can gauge some, surrounding, numbers. So maybe like, 50 pointers we can say, and then let government agencies go and inquire or raise a subpoena for them and ask more questions. Yeah.
Right. So Sanchit, you said that from young age as a student, you were interested in coding and you wanted to keep coding. Now, when you were starting a company, how did you find a problem that you wanted to solve using your coding?
Right. So, uh, yeah, I think it's a right mix of things, right? I totally agree with what Akash was saying. Now, in my experience, I knew that I know coding, but it was not about Java or C or Ruby or any language. What I also knew was, uh, I can I have to solve my holiday problem. So I went to Leh Ladakh and had a okay experience, and I realized I could have a much better experience. So I knew that that's the problem I'm solving, and for that problem, I started building code first, which was again, I mean, it's a mix, right? So you first move a little bit. Okay, this is a problem you want to solve. Then you make something. You write some code and see what the customers are saying about it, and then you further change the solution and further talk to the customer. The problem becomes big if you are isolating the two. If you're building a huge code first and then taking to the customer. That's how, in my case, the first case, it was done. There were many inefficiencies even then. I would have I would have rather spent more time on understanding the problem. It would have saved me a year of doing many iterations. My iterations would have been much faster.
Right. So, Sanchit, if you were to go back at your student days and let's say that you are starting afresh and you want to be focused on a startup from the day one, like we are trying to do, uh, that we should encourage students from day one. And that's why we have requested both of you to share your experience. How would you plan your student career, as you're going through the programs? What would you do differently now as compared to what you did earlier?
Okay, I can answer that. So, so I'm imagining myself, completing my 12th standard, getting into a new college with a cutting edge curriculum, and now I'm figuring out I have to do a startup. I'm passionate about startup. What do I do? So, first things first, I make sure that the whatever I'm having, in my curriculum, at least the basics, I get it right. If I don't understand the inheritance or the fancy concepts in object oriented programming or whatever, nothing will fly off. It needs that understanding. So I'll get my basics right. I'll also start observing the world around much more keenly. What is it that is happening in blockchain? What is happening in few of the industries I like? I'll start following them. There are a lot of magazines and media, and I mean, information is cheap, content is cheap, news is cheap. I start following up what is happening in the industry that I like. You might like healthcare, you might like space, SpaceX, I mean, or Tesla. India doesn't have a Tesla yet. So whatever industry you like, you start following it up and you start going deeper into it. What is solved, what is not solved, what is it that is the current challenge. Talk to a few advisors, a few mentors in that industry, who are running few companies, founders of early companies who have some time to talk, and who can give some time, create those relations. Talk to your professors to get those networks out. Understand the industry and then identify what is it that you would want to solve there, and start writing code or start writing a solution for that. Get in touch with customers who would want to use your who are bothered with that problem and who can start using a solution. None of this may fly, and that's okay, but you will complete the curriculum of doing the right startup. And if you're lucky, if you got the right problem in the first go, you may bring out a startup from there. That's how Facebook got built, by the way.
Right. Right. Akash, if I ask you the same question, that if you were to go back and redo your student career with focus on a startup, what would you do differently?
Right. No, that's, I mean, of course, right. I'll be very excited to get into startup. Um, but you know what Sanchit said, getting the right skills and tools from school is very important, right? Because then you can do things by yourself, right? Because in startup, you will have some people coming in, some people will go. So it falls on the head of founder how to carry on the business, right? So if the founder has a skill to code, of course, right? If they can build by themselves, that's good. But initially in a start, like in my case, I was good at creating architectures and design, so that's path I took. Um, yeah, so I would say that yeah, education is very important. Completing your degree is important, but simultaneously, work with your idea that you have. Look into the niche what Sanjit said about healthcare or education or space. So today, if you see, what we do is we were working with CRISPR technologies before COVID, and we because that was a new technology, there was no solution, so we started working on sickle cell anemia. Then the COVID came. Then because we had the technology built in, so then we took really U-turn to really go and attack a COVID problem. And today we have a diagnostic kit. So I think any idea that you take in an initial start, that's always a learning. And then you can build product on top of it at some point of time, maybe like not immediately, but yeah, I think opportunity will come and knock your door, right? So in our case, COVID, we consider it as an opportunity for us, even though it's a very disheartening situation. But I think our technology is very advanced. So today we have built like CRISPR technology for detecting COVID. We have built antibodies which can be used. We are hoping that can treat. And then we use the same our blockchain and AI technologies and our hardware that we were building for other vendors. We combined and now we created a medical ventilator for ICU. So I would say, all the ideas are great, right? I think you just need to continue to learn and, of course, update yourself with what's happening in the market, right? That's very important. So you are, staying with, looking for the opportunities, right? And second um, is about, getting the mentors. What Sachis mentioned, right? I think you need somebody to mentor you. And I think now in India it's very open. You can go and talk to some other CEOs and founders. Of course, we are here also. You can talk to us as well, and we can provide mentorship. So I think mentorship is very important because when you are a student, you don't know much about, right? How your product should shape, what business problem you should solve, or how to even build a business model, right? I think those are the expertise which are there in the market, which you can of course hire. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. I just something that you mentioned triggered something else, may not be related to the topic that we're discussing. You mentioned about sickle cell anemia. So when I was preparing Technology Vision 2035 for India, actually, we decided that we will identify 10 grand challenges for the country. And I put the first grand challenge number one was identifying it was to eliminate female and child anemia. So India has very huge percentage of anemic, among the ladies especially, and also among the children. So, and sickle cell anemia forms part of that. Our Prime Minister has been very, very interested because the tribal region of Gujarat sees this sickle cell anemia tremendously. So, do you think that there is something that you can offer to our Prime Minister from your sickle cell anemia work?
Yeah, we are still testing it, so still not developed. So I'm hoping that by next year we'll have something to show. Yes.
Okay, that'll be great too, because what we have found that India has been worried about anemia for almost 2 to 3 decades, but we're still nowhere close to reducing the number of anemic persons, and it affects half of the population of the country. So it's a huge problem. Of course, there are many regions. Sickle cell anemia is one of those regions. So Vijaya, Lakshmi, do you have a question, or should I continue asking them?
I'll ask, sir. Aakash, sir, what actually Kryptoblocks means and what type of medical devices you cater?
So can you repeat one more time your question?
What actually Kryptoblocks means and what kind of medical devices you cater?
Okay, okay. So Kryptoblocks we started because of the blockchain, so cryptocurrency. So that's how we kept the name. Uh, but we couldn't register Kryptoblocks in India because Reserve Bank says that it has to deal with cryptocurrencies. So we were declined to put that name in India. But in US we have. So Kryptoblocks today here in US we deal with blockchain and AI solutions, the products on retail side that we have built. But in India, and in US also, we have a company, Albot, which does three things. One is we run biotech from our Hyderabad, where we do research on CRISPR technologies, which is gene editing technology. Then we also deal with agriculture. So we are using CRISPR technologies to uh, manipulate an organism. Um, so so you can think about, we are taking a living organism and changing a gene structure or DNA, and then making it sure that that organism can yield more nitrogen. So we are trying to do a nitrogen fixation to a plant, so a plant can get more nitrogen. So that's a gene editing which we are doing. I'm not sure how far we will go in ethical committees, but that's we are doing research. So um, then the next one is about the antibody testing kit for COVID, antigen testing kit, CRISPR based. So these are all testing kits. Uh, the next work what we are doing is on the medical devices, where we are doing few devices. One is a ventilator, where we have used FPGAs. We created the hardware. We're using sensors for pressures, embodiment flow, uh, combining it with the turbine so we can give the pressure, and then making it an AI enabled, where we have gathered the data from different hospitals, how the ventilator functions, and we code it into an algorithm where if a patient is breathing or not breathing, algorithm can calibrate and can supply sufficient oxygen to a patient. So that's one of the product on medical science. Then we are also working on Ecmo devices, so which is the similar for oxygen. So if a lung fails, you can use a femoral vein in a leg, and then take the blood out from there, and then push into an oxygenator, which is a membrane, and you remove the carbon dioxide from it and push an oxygen through the blood, and then resupply. So that's also good for COVID patients. So these are two products in our medical devices which we are focused. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sanchit, sir, what all about inner fit means?
Right. Okay, so a very different and very new field. It's about emotional intelligence. So think about what is beyond IQ. There's something called EQ, and IQ and EQ both go hand in hand. One is your left side brain, the other is right side of your brain. Not exactly, but to give you a concept. And all the top CEOs like Bill Gates, Eric Schmidt, CEO of Microsoft, Google, Home Depot, and many other people, they have said that emotional intelligence is the way to grow in your career. That's the fastest way to grow in the career after you acquire the basic skills. So what we are is we are a app that helps you be more emotionally intelligent, and that way you can, you can help yourself to do less procrastination, or avoid conflicts in a more mature way, or deal with conflicts with a much mature way. At work, you have so many work conflicts, so how do you align everyone along with you and collaborate with them to work better? So there are many things like these which comes under emotional intelligence, how you are self-aware about your own feelings, emotions, and how can you improve them to be more productive, to be more better self, and so on.
So how we are going to find the emotional intelligence? How we are going to measure it?
Right.
Any methods?
Yeah. So you come on the app, and so we have an app called InnerFit app, and then app asks you a few questions for 4 minutes, and then tells you that, okay, we can help you procrastinate less, or we can help you not feel burned out. And here's a 21-day training plan. While you are good at many things like avoiding conflicts and this and that, but you can get better at not to procrastinate. And here's a 21-day training plan. And every day you come on the app, you learn a new exercise. Try that in your office, work, college, and then you see yourself getting improved in those things in those 21 days.
So one more question, last but one. What do you find the difference in starting a startup in India and a Western?
Right. Okay, a lot. So, um, however, now, so the difference is there because US is a more mature economy in terms of this. There are many more VCs in US than in India. Uh, I would say US ecosystem for startup is at least 10 years ahead than India, even today. And that shows up in how easily the funds are available, how many venture capitalists are there, how enthusiastic people are, users are to try out new products, how enthusiastic uh, landlords are there to let startups work from new offices and homes. In India, you'll face a little bit more friction on all of these fronts, uh, but it's getting better. And the good news is that now with COVID, it doesn't matter where you are. So if you are starting a company even in India, you can get funding from US based investors, and Y Combinator is one of those accelerator, and there are many more. So it's location agnostic from that perspective, but uh, and I would encourage that if you're building something, uh, try to get money from US investors. That will at least give you 10 years ahead perspective of everything, product, customer, and so on.
But are there any protocols to be followed for getting a contract with the US for doing any startups, sir?
I mean, they are the basic things, right? Find a problem that is not solved, find a customer who will find a solution for that problem, find a customer who will validate your solution, and then make a deck, and then that's a grind from there. So once you have these
Thank
few
you.
prerequisites ready, you can approach anyone anywhere, because then you are a viable company, you are a attractive honeybee, and people will come to you.
So last question. Uh, what do you suggest our students, whether they have to go for some MNC companies for their career prospectus, or they have to start with their own startup?
Akash, you want to take this?
Okay. Yeah, I think it totally depends upon, how much of fire you have in self, right? I mean, if you have the desire, I think, of course, right, you should go for the startups. But, startup is not, easy way out. But I think, going and working for someone else, MNCs, it's very easy to go and, work. But I think startups are the hard. So, I mean, if you want to take, very challenging thing where you can, contribute to the world and change it, I think that's great. But yeah, it's very challenging, very risky, but it needs, a high discipline, right? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Your whatever your guidelines and your experience you have shared with us today, that is going to help a lot for our students. Thank you very much, sir.
I will ask
VC
a
sir,
last question, if you permit.
yes, sir.
So one of the key issues is that how do you sell your idea or product to the VCs, the venture capitalists, not the vice chancellor? so, so how important it is the communication skill? And today the world is global, so you should be able to communicate effectively. And there's something called elevator pitch. So can one of you take up this from your life, that how important it was for you to be able to learn to communicate and communicate in a very short time the basic ideas that you wanted to communicate? Maybe Sanchit, you want to take first?
Sure. Very, very, very important. It doesn't matter how much good solution you have, unless you can communicate that amazingly in a minute to another person. I mean, think about this. You are browsing your Facebook news feed, and there's a 5 minute video. You will like not want to see that. If there's a 30-second video, you will see that. And that's the attention span for everyone now. So it doesn't matter if you have put 1 year into whatever you have done. It has to come out in 30 seconds in an attractive way. And from our traditional roots, we are not great at that. I had a hard time, and I'm still having a hard time to learn and iterate, but it takes a year to say those. At least it took me a year to say my product right in 30 seconds. That was making an impact. So you may be able to do it sooner, but it's super important.
Aakash, your comments on this, the communication skills?
Right. I'll give an example of Steve Jobs. When they announced iPhone, he was a great storyteller, right? He's a great, marketing person. So he said that, I want to give you a device which can hold, 100 songs in your pocket. So that's a story, right? Everybody can understand. I think that should be the pattern of, storytelling. That how easy, how you make a complex thing in a very simple word, anyone can understand, right? And of course, right, I mean, if you take example of, if I have 100 songs in my pocket, I can listen anytime, anywhere, and right. So this is very simplistic, but behind it, very complex technology. But yeah, I mean, for me, when I write the ideas, it will be like a few pages, and then you practice, talking to your friends. I think that's how I started, talking to your friends and families and telling them ideas. They won't understand, but you continue to do, and I think at some point of time you will come to know, okay, what is the core message that you want to give to people, right? And then you build a story around it. So instead of talking about technology, talk about, like how the journalists talk about, they take, specific person. Let's say if I have built a technology, and they will say there was a girl, who was having, a hard time in, looking into the glasses, and her vision was unclear, and we built a technology which can, let her to read. So this could be some stories, which are very practical, and where you bring in a human, I think, in a loop. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. So I think we're running out of time. So Dr. Vijayalakshmi.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sanchit sir and Dr. Aakash sir, and also Prabhat Ranjan sir, for taking your time from your respective schedules and sharing your insights about the startup, and also enlightening our students. Really, your experience will help and guide our students a lot in their life. We thank you for being with us in this evening, and it's a great pleasure for us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Sanchit. Thank you, Aakash. Hopefully, you will be available some other times to mentor our students.
Yeah,
Yes, sir,
absolutely.
sure.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
sir.